when you really can feel like a part of a machine that is working towards a common goal and that is working in unison with the other parts, that is so deeply fulfilling. And what I used to feel like was a virus in a computer, slowing it down, making it function improperly. Or I was just the anomaly, something that needed to be fixed. But just because others define you as something that isn't supposed to be, doesn't mean that has to be true for you. You can still be as you are, without the approval of anyone. And I think such a beautiful part of meditation is tapping into how you feel about what you want and experiencing what you want before you have it. Because how could you possibly know if you want something if you have not yet experienced it within you? Alright, how would you know what to look for? How would you recognize it when it is right in front of you? So if you have not had a rich internal experience of what it is you desire, then you'll always be searching. You have to know, you have to feel it, and you have to know how to receive it. Alright, because if you've already received it internally, you already know what you're looking for, you already know what makes you feel fulfilled, then you're going to know how to receive that. You'll already be in the state when it comes to you. And so it won't just slip out of your fingers because you are ready for it. And that's a big lesson a lot of people need to learn, is that you can manifest and something can be handed to you, but it can be taken away just as fast. And so if you cannot keep what you have manifested, you have not cultivated an authentic internal state, a compatible internal state to what it is you desire. Because you have to be energetically compatible with the life that you choose, just as you are right now. So if you're not energetically compatible with what it is you do not choose, then what you do not choose, what you do not want, doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to exist in your reality. And by energetically compatible, I mean emotionally receptive. Alright? Or emotionally reactive. Because then you are becoming entangled in something you identify in. So if you do not identify with where you are at, then you need to find what you do identify with. Because if not, it's just going to be this constant push and pull of me versus them. Of what it is I want, and what it is that is acceptable to them. What it is that is acceptable to the life you're in, and the people who have lived their lives and what they have created for themselves. That is your frame of reference, until you create your own frame of reference. And by frame of reference, I'm referring to the frame of reference of what you believe to be possible for yourself. So if your frame of reference is a bunch of negativity from other people who aren't happy with their lives, telling you that you need to not be happy with your life, right? Because they don't know what you need. They only think they know. They only say they know because they don't want to be stuck alone with the life they've created. Right? They need your energy because they haven't cultivated their own energy to feel like they can be secure in themselves and in the life they created. They need your validation. Like, oh, you're right. What you have created in your life is acceptable. They need that from you. They need you to tell them that. They need you to show them that. By being and creating a life similar to theirs, they need that validation. Are you going to give them that validation? That what they want is good enough? That what they want is more valuable than what you want? That what they want is more real and more important than what you want? No, don't do that. Don't do that. No. Don't ever let what somebody else has created for themselves become what you create for yourself. Because then it'll never be authentic. There is no frame of reference out here. It comes from in here. All right, because only you know how you want your story to end, what you want your future to look like. Or in your future, it cannot look like anybody else's. It can be similar. It can be it can be identical, but it'll never be the same. And that is good, right? Because the whole part that makes being consciousness so, not being conscious, the whole part that makes being conscious so exciting, so, such an adventure, is the fact that you can create anything it is you want to create. And you can be anybody you want to be, right? You can be unhappy with yourself now, but regardless of how you feel about yourself now, you're going to change. And so allowing that change to take place without so much resistance is what allows you to naturally step into and embody who it is you want to be in the first place. All right? Because you don't realize your manifestations are only catching up to who you are being right now. So if they are catching up to you, and this is really interesting because we're like magnets, we're attracting. You can almost envision this like just everything drawing in closer, but not everything. Just everything you identify as, just everything you see and know to be true. It's all coming closer and closer and closer because those beliefs you plant in your mind, whether they be affirmations or any other technique you use, or you are planting seeds. And instead of rising from the surface, which is what they also do because we are the ones embodying our manifestation, so they will rise from the surface, they also flow in to our reality. All right? Everything is in motion. Everything is flowing. We're like in this fluid, but we often feel like we are in a state of matter. But matter is only as fluid as you allow it to be. And your intentions, as good as they may seem, are not always what it takes to acquire your desired reality. All right? Because we can't just intend for something to happen. We make the intention so that we can set that standard for ourselves. And then when we show up for ourselves, we create the proof that that standard has been set in place, has been set into motion. And we continue to show up. And we continue to be the proof of what we intended to achieve. We continue to embody the proof of what we know we've already achieved. Right? Because that's what you do when you set intentions. You say, this is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to be. There's nothing more to it. And you just do it. All right? And you don't have to act so much as you have to become. But when you become, acting plays a part in it. It's only a part of it. But again, returning to earlier, if you don't know how you want to feel, if you don't know what it is that you desire, because you haven't experienced it internally, right? You haven't envisioned it, you haven't felt that spark of inspiration and ambition from what it is you desire, then you are going to be constantly searching until you realize that you are what you desire, and that everything you experience is what you desire. We are so much bigger than our desires. But to know our true power, we must know how to fulfill them. We must know how to fulfill our desires. So if we never achieve that, we will never know ourselves. And we will never know why we keep going. We will never know why we were placed here. Right? Because understanding your desires is what comes with understanding yourself. And desires are a natural thing. having attachments to your desires, now that's a whole nother story. Because when you're attached to what you desire, you feel as though you never fully have it because it's never close enough. Because when you feel attached to something, you need it with you at all times. And so when the illusion of it not being there comes into play inside of your mind, okay, because the illusion of separation, it's an illusion. There is no separation between you and what you desire. But you will convince yourself of that because you can't see it, you can't feel it, and you can't occupy your own space. You can't entertain yourself for any amount of time without needing, right? Because that's what attachments make you do, needing whatever it is you're attached to. You always feel like you're operating at a state of lack when you're attached to something, right? Because you always want more of it, and more is never enough. And yeah, healthy attachments do exist. We have to have some level of attachment to function socially in a way that isn't so self-beneficial. Because attachments, when they're healthy attachments, they don't just serve you. Alright, you are attached to that person because you want to keep them safe. And when you reframe your attachments as something positive, instead of something so desperate and out of reach, then you can feel more connected to yourself and that person if that person is what you are attached to, whoever that person is. Because if you turn it into, this attachment isn't just serving me and my needs, this attachment is part of what they need. I am what they need. If you can embody that, if you can embody what somebody needs, and not just think about your needs, then you are going to automatically fulfill your own needs better. And you are also going to become a more magnetic person. Because that person will sense how committed you truly are to them and how worthy you are of being in their presence. So, recognizing your own worth, recognizing that you have just as much value as what you are attached to, will create a healthy gap between you and that need for the attachment. Alright, because you're still going to want that person. Alright, and then if you lose that person, it might be difficult with you to come to terms with at first. Right, because that's the impulse of feeling that separation when you're attached, is to automatically assume that the world is ending when you are still in control. Because separation occurs to show us and make us aware of very important aspects of ourselves. So when separation occurs between you and an individual, or you in a place, you in a job, okay, maybe you're fired, but maybe it wasn't the job that was the problem. Maybe it was just that company, right? So we can't think in black and white. We can't think in finite and infinite terms. And so that way, you will better be able to determine and allow things to happen more naturally. And you will better determine what those things are that you need to let happen. Right? Because there's no avoiding anything internal. We're always with ourselves. And we can try to detach, but the more you detach from yourself, which is something you cannot possibly achieve unless you off yourself, right? When you're constantly trying to detach from yourself, you are just proving to yourself that there is no difference between who you are and what you are running from. Alright, because what you are running from is what made you detach from yourself in the first place. So if you can stop running and face whatever emotions arise and know that is not going to disable you or prevent you from pursuing the life you want to pursue, the life you want to live, regardless of how you feel, you can pursue it. But you often don't realize that you are pursuing the opposite. Or you feel like the opposite is pursuing you. It's so contradicting. It's really both. It's really both. Like if you choose to pursue it, negative thoughts, negative thinking, negative behaviors, then they're going to just feel like a natural occurrence. And they're going to feel somewhat inescapable the more you become familiar with it. But now you can become so familiar with something that you understand it so deeply, and through your understanding, you can almost penetrate through it into something better. That's the beauty of understanding. You can almost just, rocket right through that shit and end up somewhere else. Because through understanding, you reach a tipping point of what you thought you knew and what reality actually means. And how reality is just Play-Doh for you to mold. Your mind is the same way. Everything about you is the same way. It's just Play-Doh. You can mold into anything. Or you could think about the word zebra. If you can't imagine, if you have aphantasia, just like with Play-Doh, you can mold a zebra. And it's the image that becomes so concrete in your mind, or just the feeling you get from the idea, that can cement it into reality. So, as much as I would love to keep talking, I am going to end it here. And I hope you took something away from this. Alright, if you have any questions, if you have any topics that you are interested in me talking about, I would love to hear your input. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Alright, I hope you have an amazing day.